Nakia here at Rat and Cat, where we search for those who have gone missing so others can learn to survive. I'm a little disappointed to say that I'm calling off the search for high altitude searches for the season. With the snow levels dropping, it's just too treacherous up there, especially in the big lava bed where Christopher Zitzewitz went missing. To be wandering off through the lava bed and those big cracks and those pits and trenches, it's just treacherous enough on its own, much less with snow. And it's quite possible a big snowstorm could come and take me out just like it did Zitzewitz. In fact, just over a week ago, a hunter went missing around Forlorn Lakes here in Skamania, Washington, just north of where Zitzewitz went missing. 37-year-old Joel Presler from Vancouver, Washington. He was hunting by himself. And somebody pulled him out of the ditch, actually, but he continued on up the road, and his truck was found in about 36 inches of snow, with the snow level even higher up above his truck as the altitude went up. Both ground and aerial search and rescue teams were sent out for Presler, along with his friends and family, and they had no luck. And the aerial support couldn't find any tracks in the snow. He evidently was headed up to some remote cabin, but he's way overdue, and with no signs of him, the sheriff is calling off the search, or had a few days ago called it off. One of you suggested that I go up and search for a Presler. That was actually after the search was called off, but there's a couple reasons why I haven't been doing live searches. One, I work, and so I can't always take time off. And also, I don't want to get in the way of current searches by law enforcement and search and rescue teams. And I also want the emphasis of this channel to be on safety and prevention rather than the excitement of somebody's tragedy. Ironically, I was up in that area last weekend when that was all going on with my family. And I had one day between jobs, and so we just went up there to play in the snow. And the search was just over the ridge from where the hunter, Presler, went missing. It was actually really hard for me to be out there not searching. This new tragedy is kind of hard for me too because it happened just between where I've been looking for Zitzewitz and Austin Oldfield. And it's just right in that area. Now, I know a lot of you believe in Sasquatch and think I'm trying to insinuate Sasquatch is taking these people because I've interviewed people who have seen Sasquatch. That's not the case. There's a lot of stories about Sasquatch in this area, and I think that's really fun and interesting, and I know that a lot of you think so too. But the truth is that most of these people actually probably perish because of exposure. You know, they get hypothermia. I got hypothermia, or started to once, in Glacier National Park. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bitterly cold. For me, it was just my boots were wet, and I was wet from exercising hard, and I just got so cold, and I started to shake, and I couldn't warm up until finally I took those wet clothes off. But even when I was in a really warm place, as long as I had those wet clothes on, I was still shaking violently. So all it takes is something damp or wet in that little bit of cold atmosphere to start the process, and somebody can become really hypothermic quickly. And then once you're beyond a certain point, you'll start to do weird things like take off your clothes, think you're too hot, you'll fold your clothes, you'll cross roads and do all sorts of strange things and travel great distances. Your mind kind of disconnects from reality. You know, I used to think that these searches were relatively easy. Just head out into the local forest. But I've come to realize that each of these searches are small expeditions, and they take a lot of planning and a lot of time to be prepared. There's also a narrow opportunity for searching during the summer when there's no snow before the big storms hit. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can take off more time from work to do more searching. It was a big disappointment this summer that I wasn't able to spend more time out searching for Zitzewitz. I'm thinking about starting a Patreon page or something to raise funds for searching for a month or two during the summer, but I'm not sure. I'd like to know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments below. But in any case, there are a lot of lowland searches I can still do during the winter, and a lot of on-topic stories and exercises that we can do during the winter. So please keep watching Rat and Cat for those. Also, an update on the search for Austin Oldfield. I received an email from a man in the Tri-Cities a few weeks ago saying that he had seen Austin Oldfield, or a man that looked like him, and had a conversation with him. He wrote me an email and said, I met a guy who looks somewhat like the one in the picture. I don't want to give you high hopes that it is him, but I just want to let you know. I even sat down with him and we had a conversation. I tried to buy him food, but he rejected it, saying he didn't want anything. I forgot his name, that he gave me, he was sitting outside Fiesta Foods in Pasco. From now on, I'll try to look for him in the Tri-Cities, and if I find anything, I'll let you know. My name is Tony. Now, because of this tip, I did go do a search for him, and I can't tell you much about it because I feel like Austin might be watching this video. However, it was an interesting visit. I ran into a couple of people who live on the streets, probably in their 20s, a young man and a woman, and he said he thought he'd seen Austin, but I really am not sure. He said he was about 50% sure he'd seen him. I think that's a long shot. In any case, he gave me the location where he thought he saw him, and it's a regular event, so I'm going to go check that out sometime. I wish I could give more detail, but I can't at this time. It was interesting. The guy had a broken hand. He met me in the park, and he's kind of the guy in charge of this park, and somebody else went to shake his hand, and he said, "Don't do that, my hand's swollen." And he'd broken his hand defending his girlfriend and was opting not to go to the hospital for some reason. It's interesting, a hierarchy in culture when you live out on the streets. Anyhow, they said they'll keep an eye out for him, and I have several different people looking for Austin and keeping an eye out for him, so we'll see what happens. It's interesting that I posted on Craigslist all over the nation about Austin, but the only place I've ever gotten feedback is from the Tri-Cities here in Washington State. Whether he's alive or not, I don't know, but I'll keep looking for him. You can support the mission of Rat and Cat to teach people how to survive by searching for those who have gone missing. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with your friends and family. Until next time.